Hello, good evening, and welcome to the final word here on Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. This is the last word of the weekend, isn't it? It's the end of a very busy week, a week that has seen an awful lot going on in the club. We will be talking tonight all about that. Now, also just a bit of a heads up as well. We've got 3 podcasts scheduled for this week. Podcast number 1 is tomorrow night at 8:30. Topic to be decided very shortly. Thursday night, we're going live at 9 p.m. I've got a guest coming on Thursday night who is a TikToker, Rangers TikToker called Wendy. She will be coming on Thursday night. And then on Sunday is our next podcast. Next Sunday, 7:35 p.m. We'll be going live here on YouTube, and I have another guest lined up as well. Sarah McGee can be great to have her on board as well. So a few different guests coming up this week. Let's have a look then. So we've already got some people in the live chat. Aldo, one of my good old mods, says, hello, Bears. Hello, Aldo. Ian McCutcheon says, Rangers get 41 million euros just to qualify for the Champions League. And we are going to talk a little bit about why Rangers need to qualify for the Champions League tonight, guys. As well as obviously looking back across the week and discussing obviously the big news of the week, which has been the departure of those 5 players from the club, and get your thoughts, comments on that and who needs to be next. Good evening to Janet as well. Well, let's start by talking about the big news that obviously came out of the club yesterday. Everyone had been kind of waiting for it, hadn't they? They'd been kind of waiting for the news to say, well, look, who's going, when are they going, are they definitely going, when are we going to hear about it? Because we all knew, didn't we, before the end of last season, about the whole situation as regards Philippe Helander, as regards Ryan Kent, Alfie Morelos, Alan McGregor, Scotty Arfield. We never should let Scotty go. We knew all about those guys going. It was already decided, wasn't it? And we all said goodbye to them at that Hearts game, the final home game of the season. But obviously, there was still a lot of counter rumor about Lundstrom, about Jack. I think we all knew that McLaughlin and Roof and Barisic were going. We didn't know the rest of them were going. So look, it's a big one, isn't it? It's a good one. And let's talk a little bit through through all of that. All that information that came out yesterday, first of all, and then we'll get on to, obviously, we're going to talk about the Champions League tonight as well. As we build towards what's going to be, I think, hopefully another very busy week next week for the club. So, obviously, the news came out yesterday. Hello, Aldo, how you doing, buddy? Obviously, the news came out yesterday that Borna Barisic, John Lundstrom, Ryan Jack, John McLaughlin, and, of course, Kemar Roof were leaving the club. And, look, at the end of the day, we can debate each player. You can debate what you think about those players, and you can talk about what they've done for the club in the past, what they've done for the club this season, in the last couple of seasons. But overall, guys, for me, it's the right decision. It's the right decision to let them go at this stage of their careers. I haven't heard any news about our new signings. Are still all rumours, Janet. Still all rumours. We acted like they were winners when they left. It's the duds, sadly, says Aldo. I think, the situation is that, look, I think you go back to 55, and look, I know there's kind of that worrying thing of harking back to the past all the time, isn't it? Harking back to 55, harking back to what we did previously and that last league title. But, Borna Barisic obviously contributed to that. Ryan Jack contributed to that. Kemar Roof was the top scorer that season. So look, at the end of the day, Jack Margaret, I very much wish we can get back to that, certainly. But look, I think it's the right decision. I mean, Borna pretty much checked out the last couple of seasons anyway. He wasn't looking the same player he was during 55. He was slow, he was negative, he checked back too much, he was sort of affected by the horseshoe. So for me, it was the right move. Lundstrom, I was worried right up until the very end, about what was going to happen with Lundstrom in terms of, was he going to go, was he going to stay? There was talk of him Ipswich, talking of the Trabzon. We still don't particularly know where he's going to go. We just know that the contract has been finished. And I think, again, right decision. Now, I've seen a lot of interesting polls on social media, and I know social media is not always the best representation of the truth when it comes to fans, when it comes to people's genuine opinions on players and on players' futures. But the way I look at it is this. For me, hello CRS, how you doing, buddy? Look, for me, Lundstrom did a number of things not great over the last couple of seasons. He had his purple patches, don't get me wrong. He had those patches when he looked like a player. He had those purple patches when he looked like a quality player, like the Europa run and that Leipzig. This season, after Clement came in initially, he looked a player. But it was very much the Lundstrom-esque kind of CV, wasn't it? He had the same at Everton, at Sheffield United. Wherever he's been, he has these patches where he's awful, brilliant, looks like a world beater, and then goes back to being awful again. I think at the end of the day, for me, it really is it is time. Was time for him to go. He was too slow on the ball. He slowed the game down. He was too negative. He dropped too deep. He second touch was often a yellow card, or it was a foul. The problem with him was as well for me the way he dropped deep all the way back into that back four. He made the gap between the midfield and the defence way too big, and for me, Suter, Davis, people like that were better at bringing the ball out than Lundstrom was. They were more positive with the ball. They were more forward thinking with the ball. And for me, he slowed the game down. It's no kind of secret. Diamande looks a better player. Nicolas Raskin there. Diamande looked a better player when Lundstrom wasn't there, because whoever played alongside Dio would get the ball, bring it out, give it to Dio deep on the park. Giving Dio the chance to obviously get further forward, influence the game higher up the pitch, play it into Cantwell, play it into Silva, play it into Seamer, play it into Destas, higher up the field, so they could influence the game more. And to me, Lundstrom's depth of play, the fact that he sat way too deep and didn't bring it out enough and was too negative with the ball, slowed our game down and made us less of an attacking force. Sean says, how many teams in Scotland do you think will be in Europe after Christmas? That's a good question. Hopefully just once again, Sean. Janet says, we want Ryan Jack. Had to go. Good luck to him. The players that have left so far. Look, I've got to say, he said, how you doing? Sid, obviously, and I said you're a big Borna fan. How you feeling about Borna? Sid. Janet, I agree. Look, I don't get me wrong. I'm a massive Ryan Jack fan. I love Ryan Jack. I think Ryan's a top player. And I think, to be honest with you, Janet, whenever Ryan was in the team looked better for me. They really did. They looked safer at the back. The players around him looked better. And they just looked a better team. He would drop in and cover for the fullbacks excellently. He read the game superbly. He was a very, very good player. But we couldn't keep him on. I did a little count up the other day. I think I put it on X. He missed 129 games. 129 games. That is just a mental number of games to miss. Really is a mental number of games to miss. Curry makes a good point here. Curry says in the live chat, until we get rid of Tavernier, Dalton, and Wright and their second best mentality, nothing will improve. That is the minimum that needs to happen. I've got to say, I agree with you. I've been getting some stick as well for those comments online, as regards, obviously, James Tavernier. Look, I agree. I 100% agree with you. Tavernier's got to go. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to move on. Look, am I saying that Tav's been awful? No, I'm not. Am I saying that he's always been dreadful for us? No, I'm not. Am I saying that he's never achieved anything for us? No, I'm not saying any of those things. But what I am saying is that he could be a lot better player. He could perform a whole lot better for me. But he's not going to get any better because he is too slow. He's too slow. He's lost the yard of pace. He's not the same player he was, in during 55, going back to that season again. He's a player that has gone backwards for me. And until he improves and he's never going to improve. He's too old. He's not going to get any better. And I don't understand this logic that I'm hearing at the moment about him moving to right midfield. I don't get that. I genuinely don't, because look, at the end of the day, for me, he's too slow. He's too slow to play right midfield. And if we go on to say sign Seamer and say Cortez, who would you rather have on the right hand side? Would you rather have Would you rather have Seamer out there, or would you rather have Cortez out there, or would you rather have Tav out there? And for me, it's got to be Seema, it's got to be Cortez, it's got to be one of those players. They're just better attacking talents. Camel did not deserve Brogy, pushed by Clement. That shows the manager's lack of awareness. No manager should be put his mitt on a player, just like a factory boss can't do that to any employee. We've also got James here, says happy to see the 5 players go on. We need new blood. John says, I worked out every goal Roof scored for us cost us around 140,000. That's a lot of money per goal. Like Cantwell, to be honest, although likes Cantwell. Get right away before I have a coronary, says Sid. That's how I felt about Borna, Sid. Keep tab, goals, so nothing will change, especially at the back. Look, I've got to say I agree with this. And I've had a number of arguments with a number of people on social media because people want to cling on to Tav. They want to cling on to Goldson. They want to cling on to these players. But at the end of the day, for me, the problem is that Goldson and Tav have, I don't want to say a loser mentality. I'm trying to be a bit more professional here. Goldson and Tav have a mentality which has been scarred by the fact that over the last couple of seasons they've lost way too many games. They've lost on a regular basis to Celtic. They've lost games where the pressure's been on. When the pressure comes on us, when it's us that's got to lead it out, when it's us that's got to be the team, they can't cope with it. And for me, you can't have that mentality in a new dressing room, in a dressing room full of players who you're trying to groom into be the future, to be a team that takes over, a team that moves back into the dominant position. As I've said on the video, we need revolution, not evolution. It's not about evolving this team. It's about having a revolution. It's about clearing the decks. It's about getting rid of those players that have done damage to this team. And people say, well, you know what, you're mad. You're talking rubbish. You're talking pish because you're saying that Tav's the problem. And Tav's not the biggest problem. I'm not saying Tav is the biggest problem in this team. This team has a whole host of problems. We don't score enough goals. The midfielders don't chip in. We haven't got enough wide players. We're not clinical enough in front of goal. We concede stupid goals. Yes, Tav isn't the only problem, but Tav is part of the problem. He is a Rangers captain who has the worst record of any Rangers captain. We've won 3 trophies whilst he's been captain. Yes, his personal stats are very good. Of course they are. But the team stats are not good. And captains, it's side before self with captains. And I sometimes feel with Tav, it's self before side with Tav. I think he's less of a team player and more of a Tav player, if I'm being honest with you. Need more goals from Cantwell to keep his position. I do think he needs to score more goals. I agree. Although he doesn't think that Cantwell's cockiness. Hi, Owen. How you doing? I'm good, DL2. How are you, buddy? What's going on with the stand? I don't know anything about. I haven't looked into the stadium yet, proper collector yet. I haven't done any sort of stadium research at the moment. I've been looking at players solely. Scores goals, yes, but he can't defend his older. I agree. Tav and Goldson and Cantwell bye-bye, says Sid. So Sid wants rid of Cantwell as well. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Cantwell has to improve, but he is by far not the biggest problem on the pitch for Rangers. I agree, Curry. There's a whole host more problems than him. And I was talking to one of my good mates tonight, Sarah McGeekin. She's a top Rangers fan, guys. I'm hoping she's going to be on the channel on Sunday. If she is, guys, she's a fantastic Ranger. She knows loads about Rangers. Her dad is a hardcore Rangers fan. Her son is a Rangers fan. The whole family's Rangers fans, and she knows her stuff. And she was talking about Cantwell, and she was talking about him and has her opinions on him. And I'll let her share those opinions. But I agree with. I was agreeing with a lot of what she said, even though I am a big Cantwell fan. Clement isn't cocky as much as he's passionate about playing. RFC, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. The players aren't our biggest issue. When your chairman said he was happy with a cup and a league, and a European final in the previous 5 years, that's the problem right there. A fish rots from the top down. Good point from RFC 72. You need a chairman that has ambition. You need a chairman that wants to win everything, not a chairman that is happy with 3 trophies in 12 years. That's a bit of a Celtic attitude, isn't it? In terms of the fact that, well, Rangers are 12 years old. They're not actually, we were born in 1872. We've won 118 trophies. That is the truth of the matter. It's not 3 trophies in 12 years that matters. The mistake in seconds versus Celtic at Ibrox was the final straw for me. I was talking about Tav's mistake against Dyson Maida in that game at Ibrox. So I had a few glasses issues. Clement wants Warriors. He does. If Clement handles more players like he handled Cantwell, they'll get him the tin tack. I agree, John. Rangers are playing poor football at the moment. I think we do need to give Clement this summer to bring in his own players, to develop his own side, and to get these players in to play the style of football he really wants to play. I've got to say, although I love this point, this is a good point. Can't keep relying on a right back to score goals. We need to find a proper finisher. I agree, 100%. This is the issue I have with a lot of fans that are so, pro Tav. Oh, well, who would score the goals? Yeah, but we shouldn't be relying on our right back to score goals. That is not the way forward. There's very few teams in Europe rely on their right back to score all their goals. Tav and Goldson don't have the lion heart that you need to be a Rangers captain, or vice versa. I agree. Or vice captain, sorry. Yes, I agree. They're not leaders. They're not leaders on the pitch. And, that is the truth. You need a leader. A captain needs to be a leader. You look at the great Rangers captains of the past, and, one of the biggest for me, Terry Butcher. I mean, I know he's got his controversial issues nowadays, but on the pitch when he was Rangers captain, he was a leader. He was an absolute leader, and you wouldn't mess with him. You wouldn't argue with him. You'd do as you were told. John Gregg, another one. There's Barry Ferguson. Whether you liked Barry or you didn't like Barry, he was a brilliant captain. And a whole number of others that I'm forgetting. But for me, you've got to have a captain that is a real leader on the pitch. It has to be that way. We need 2 for each spot at the back, 2 wingers, 3 strikers, midfield. I don't know, says Proper Collector. Clement looking for fast attacking forwards. He wants players with speed to implement his style, says Ian. We need that. We're a team that lacks speed. That's a great point from Ian. We're a team that lacks speed. That's one of the biggest things. When Seaman was injured, and you looked at that lineup that we put out, and you say you're going with Butland, obviously, is a goalkeeper, so we don't include him, but Tav's not fast. Davis is not fast. Balogun is probably the quickest of defenders, but still not lightning. Ridvan's reasonably quick. Diamande's not lightning. Lundstrom's slow. McCausland's not lightning. Canwell's not lightning. Who played left side? Silva wasn't particularly fast, and Dessers certainly isn't fast. There's no pace in that team. We do need some pace in that team, but pace in the top team. What was whose name, Blue? Sarah McGeechan, hopefully coming on next Sunday. Tav should be moved on, yes, but blaming him for 9 years, he was here is a bit far. He's been some of the worst teams we've had and been relied on every game to produce something. Like I said, RFC 72, I'm not blaming him for everything. I'm saying for the last couple of years, he has not been the same player. He has not contributed enough as a leader on that park. That's what I'm kind of trying to get out there, buddy. Didn't think Tav is going anywhere, people. What do you think? I'm worried. I am genuinely worried that Tav will still be here next season. But as I said on the video earlier, today, if game 1 we are looking at Tav running out and Goldson running out and being on the field from the very start, I'm worried. I am really worried, because those two are serial losers. They're serial bottle jobs. They haven't done anything for me to prove, that they are leaders, that they are players that should be playing for Rangers. And the other issue you've got is both of them are not getting any younger. And the older you get, you lose a step of pace. I think they've both already lost a yard of pace, and they didn't really have a terrific amount of pace to lose in the first place. So for me, it is a worrying thing that there's nothing yet been talked about. We do need to ship them out. We do need to get rid of them. Sean says, how far will Scotland and England do in the Euros? Sean, I don't know, buddy. I haven't even thought about the Euros yet, buddy. Agreed, John. Don't think they'll be moving on. Our board, no, we have Tav and Goldson. They're fucking scared to tell us that they are staying. Possible. Tav and Goldson both admitted they were scared and didn't like getting about them. Attitude is very poor, says John Vieto. I'm going to try and get you coming up, John, in a minute, but my computer. Sorry about that, guys. I'm on microphone. So Sterling is my choice for captain. I agree. Sterling would be a good captain, I think. And I don't think I get pissed off, with this whole age thing, this stupid age thing we have. Oh, he's too young. There's no such thing as too young. If you're a leader, you're a leader. End of story. What else have we got here? John says Terry Butcher is one of my favourite Rangers players of all time. I loved him too, Blue Nose. Absolutely loved him. Sterling for captain. Sean says Rangers need a new captain. We do need a new captain on the pitch. We do need a new leader. We need someone out there who is going to be a real leader on this pitch. And And at the end of the day, I don't think we have that at this moment in time. Tav turns up missing in too many matches. I think the problem we've got with Tav and Goldson is they go missing in games that really matter. If we start next year with Tav and Goldson, we're finished, says John. Amoruso was a superstar. Loved Lorenzo Amoruso. Loved Big Amo. Absolutely. I seen a rumor about Goldson going to Bolton. Mate, I'd drive him there myself. I won't even pay. I won't even charge him petrol for it. Rangers need more Scottish players in the football team. We will talk about that tonight. Tav and Goldson show doesn't work giving ages of players 4-year contracts. It certainly doesn't. Stuart, Sterling is really good. I love Sterling. He's one of my favourite players at the moment. He's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love him. Bazza was a great captain at a very young age. He was. Barry Ferguson. I like Barry Ferguson. I know he talks some shit these days, but he was a brilliant captain and a brilliant Rangers player. They won't want to miss out to sell merch and other Rangers products, so they won't mention Tav and Goldson staying. Never done ripping off fans, says Janet. That is the worry, I suppose. But like I said, it's time for Tav and Goldson to go, in my opinion. And I'm sure you all have different opinions, at the end of the day. I'm sure you will all have different opinions on this matter, and that is fine. I don't mind if you have a different opinion to me. At the end of the day, that's what football's all about. It's all about opinions, and we all have different opinions. And if we all had the same opinion, it'd be bloody boring, wouldn't it? If we all sat here and just agree out all the time on everything. So for me, those 5 players that have gone, it was the right decision for the club. It was the right decision for the players, and I'm glad that there was no turn on some of those players. Move on those players at all. That's really good news, certainly. So let's move it along a little bit and talk obviously about what has happened so far. So to me, guys, is where we are focusing and concentrating on this at this moment in time. Now, obviously, Albion Rahmani was the striker linked. We all seen his name. That appears to have gone very, very quiet now. I'm just going to start a poll off, actually. So my poll question is, would you be happy if Rangers signed no Scottish players? No Scottish players in this window. That's the first poll I'm putting up tonight, guys. The first poll is about to go live on the channel now. It's up there now. Would you be happy if Rangers signed no Scottish players in this window? Please vote in that poll. What else have we got? This is a great point by John. This is something that Rangers are fundamentally, genuinely dreadful at doing. They are absolutely appalling at doing. We need to sell players at the right time from now on. No more sentimentality. Brilliant point from John. Absolutely. I hate those AI pods, Derek. Absolutely hate them. They should be banned from YouTube. Yeah, John makes a great point. We've got to get away from this sentimentality. We've got to get away from this whole thing of hanging on to players for way, way too long and get rid of them whilst they're still under contract. At the end of the day, you cannot keep bringing on players, just keeping them because, it's their testimonial next year. They once scored 30 goals for us in a season. They once scored a winner in a cup final. We can't do that any longer. If we are going to be financially viable going forward, if we are going to be financially successful as a club going forward, we need to be moving these players on when we can and not waiting for their contracts to run down. I suppose what the encouraging thing on that is, guys, is that Phil Clement did say that would never happen again. What else have we got here? Stuart says, Blue Nose, John, we need to stop let contracts run down, players walk for free. I agree on that one. John says he doesn't care whether they're Scottish as long as they are good enough. Yeah, there is a poll running, guys. Get your vote in on that one for Rangers. What is the latest? Obviously, they remove through. For me, guy doesn't want to be here. If he doesn't want to play for Rangers, screw him. I don't care. I didn't go players that have come to just another one, and we don't need him. I don't want him at the club anymore. So at the end of the day, let him go. I'm glad he's not there. Obviously, Thomas Gedalmes is another name that has been linked with the club. So that is another name that's come up. A Chilean left-sided player. That's another one that's been linked. I've seen Ben Johnson obviously linked. There's a video out on that at the moment. I love this point from Emmy. I'll get to this point in a minute. Has everyone hit the like button? Yes, please hit that like button, guys. Obviously, smash that like for me. That'd be brilliant if you could. There's 107 people currently watching the channel. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please obviously subscribe to the channel, and please obviously as well get your likes in. And just a reminder as well, if you want to support the channel in any way, shape or form, there's a membership scheme, 99p a month, or you can smash the super chat or the super sticker button to donate a little bit of cash to the channel. We do provide you with free content here. Now, Scottish players should be coming out of the academies. Brilliant point from Emmy. Brilliant point from Emmy. We do need to be using our academy. We do need to be bringing through. Great point, John. We do need to be bringing through our academy players. I want to see more than just Ross McCausland. I want to see the likes of Coleman, Rice, Zach Lovelace. You know, those guys getting an opportunity. Paul Nicio, I know he's another player. I want to see these young lads coming through. I want to see these young lads being used and played on a regular basis. I'm not saying necessarily starting at least, but at least at the start of the season, getting them on for 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, getting Nicio a chance, getting more from the likes of Robbie Fraser. I mean, look at Robbie Fraser. Did he let us down at the end of the season? No, he didn't. He's a top player. So, Stuart, not yet. No, not yet. No, yet, buddy, not yet. Where are the talented players that should have been getting developed from the academy? Very poor result from it, says John. John, that's a great point. You know, we have not brought through enough players from our academy, and whoever's appointed the new academy director is going to have one hell of a job bringing on those players. Absolutely, he's going to have a massive job to bring those players through. Obviously, Seb Jacobs is now gone. We need to appoint a new academy director. Who that is, God only knows. Think of the kind of money we've lost on Morelos and Kent, for instance. John, that's a great point. We've lost an awful lot of money. I mean, Morelos, you probably could have got about 20 million for him back in the day when he was at his peak. Kent again, another 15 million. We could have brought 35 million into the club coffers for those two players had we sold them at the top of the market. I think Kamara, you could have probably got 15 million for after 55. So, you know, you could have been looking at what, 50 million pounds there, you know, in transfer fees for 3 players. I mean, think of the rebuild you could have done with 50 million pounds. It would have been absolutely crazy, wouldn't it, to get that many players in, you know, to have that much money to spend on players. Had we sold those players on, had Ross Wilson, Stuart Robertson et al. Not done an awful job of sorting contracts out. I thought Larry was going to be a world beater, but I don't know what's happened to him. Yeah, Larry's been a very big disappointment, John, for me as well. Not obviously developed and come on enough. Guys, we're going to duck out a minute. Where does it change? Okay, just going to talk about, let's talk about the Champions League. Let's talk about Champions League football. Obviously, we are seeded for the qualifying round of the Champions League. We are seeded for that competition. So we have to qualify for the Champions League. I mean, it's I get the debate, you know, or Europa's more or level, whatever. I think we've been necessarily scarred to some point by the whole, you know, that season we were shocking. That season we were just appalling. I think that's an unfair assessment of Rangers because of the fact we had so many injuries, we had so many players missing, we had so many players out. The fact we threw Leon King in there and he got destroyed against Liverpool and others. You know, I just think that it's not going to be the same this time if we qualify for the Champions League. Yeah, after our board said 6.5 million for Alfredo, it just got worse. We do need Champions League money, absolutely, 100%. Champions still need therapy from that. I think we all do, Aldo. But I don't think Big Phil will allow us to be as shocking as we were then. I genuinely don't think that Big Phil will allow us to be as poor in that competition. No, I genuinely think that that we are gifting them a massive prize pot. We are gifting them so much money. You know, if we get into the Champions League, obviously the Champions League money has to be split between us and Celtic, which is, you know, excellent, which is better. You know, we can't allow them to keep getting that Champions League money and keeping that money. The more times that we fail to qualify for the Champions League, and that they obviously get in automatically, even though they are absolutely shocking in the Champions League. which is another podcast, which is a whole other debate about Celtic and the fact that they can't play in Europe. But I don't really care because it's Celtic. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about how bad they are in Europe. I want to laugh at them, but I don't want to look at them. I'm not a Rangers who would go on a Celtic podcast anyway. So look, at the end of the day, look at it this way. We've got to have that money. We've got to get that money. We've got to be in a position where we are making that money from the Champions League. You've got, for example, you get through the qualifying round. For every qualifying round you progress, you get a prize pool. Okay, so you say, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's several £1 million. You qualify for the Champions League. Again, it's several £1 million into the group stage. Now, that is without TV money, the number of times you're televised. That is without the amount of money that you get for actually playing in the Champions League. So that's another one. Okay. Then every game you win in the Champions League, you get 2.4 million. Every game you draw in the Champions League, you get 800,000. So automatically there, you've got an awful lot of money you can be making, from the Champions League. And if we can get, I think the estimate is somewhere between about £30 million from the Champions League. Now, if you win the Europa League, you get 15.4 million. So if you win a couple of games in the Champions League, get to the group stages, and even if you go out and finish third in the Champions League group stage, I think you get about £30 million, which is double what you get for winning the Europa League. Now, that 30 million obviously splits the prize pot away from them and stops them from getting so far ahead. And it also gives us useful money to actually go and purchase players. For me, I don't want to hear this crap about Europa is our level, or Europa's more our level. We all love a Rangers Thursday. Yes, we all do love a Rangers Thursday night. I'd rather have a Rangers Tuesday or Wednesday night. I'd rather have a Champions League night. I'd rather play Champions League teams. I'd rather play group stage Champions League football than actually go and play, Europa League football. Because at the end of the day, we've got to start thinking about money. We've got to start thinking about bringing funds into the club. Look, where we're going to compete for trophies is on the domestic stage, isn't it? We're going to compete for the Scottish League, Scottish Cup, and the League Cup. And if we can win a domestic treble, brilliant. Even if we get knocked out in the group stages of the Champions League, but we still win all 3 trophies, that is a good season for us. That is a great season for us, because that brings us in 30 million, 35 million, whatever, plus match day revenue, plus merchandise sales, plus all that extra revenue that comes in. For me, it's got to be the Champions League next season. I don't want to hear this pish about Rangers Thursday nights. Rangers Thursday nights are better. No, I want to hear that Champions League. I'm worried we draw Fenerbahce with Mourinho going there. That is a concern, John. Certainly is a concern. What we've got here, Stuart says, in there now, not third in their group anymore. It's a massive league now, dropping into the Europa League. No, it's a new format, isn't it? Yeah, it's an absolute new format, isn't it? Yeah, but that was what I was just giving the example. You can still make 30 million, Stuart, from the Champions League. I forgot the format changed. Rangers get 41 million euros just to qualify. That's a fact, says Ian. Well, if that's the case, then we need to be there. Even if we get cuffed the Champions League, at least we get that money, and we need it. This is the point. We need the Champions League funds. Even if, like I said, you don't progress anything beyond the group stage, that league stage as it's going to be next year. I'm not quite sure 100% how the Champions League works this season. I do need to do a bit of looking into it. But look, overall, we've got to play Champions League football. We've got to play Champions League football because we need the money. We need the money at the end of the day. And that's an awful reason for saying it. But unfortunately, that's what football is fast becoming, a money league. But before we get into the Champions League, we're going to need a team capable of competing once we get there. So Colin, through, absolutely. Stavros Brainstorm says, I still want a bench monster that specialises. Yeah, whatever that's about, buddy. What else have we got here in the live chat? Just want to see Rangers win trophies, or at least have players who will fight for the badge. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. 100% with that one. What else have we got here in the live chat? Massive cash this year. With it work this year up to 40 million we can make. Absolutely need that money. And for me, the Champions League is an absolute must qualify. Pop a good ball with money would be great. I think we're all like coming that. Let's get the sheikhs over. Let's get the oil money guys over to make some money for the club. Look, at the end of the day, guys, we've got to be in a position where we qualify for that Champions League. I don't care about the fact that we may end up losing more than we win, because it's about getting the money. For me, next season is about competing for the 3 trophies in Scotland, about winning the league, the League Cup, the Scottish Cup. Whatever we get from Europe is a bonus next season. If we get the Champions League, great. We need it. We need the money. I don't care if we don't progress, because at the end of the day, I'm more interested in winning those 3 domestic trophies. I'm worried about PC going into next season. His decision making more and more bizarre as the season went on. I can see that, John, but do you not think some of it may have been because he just had a sheer lack of options and a sheer lack of fitness of some of those players? I'm not saying that was a definitely case. I was just hopefully seeing trying to come with a reason. We'll not get money off this board. They will need to do a deal in free transfers again. Nobody should buy season tickets till this God, get the fuck out of my club, says William. Obviously, there's a lot of questions about the board. What else have we got here in the live chat? The close season is already depressing, isn't it? It can be, buddy. What else have we got here? We need to get. I don't know. It's going to be over the next couple of weeks, guys. We need to get the last 16 Champions League. That would be brilliant. I can't see it happening with the caliber of teams, Kenneth, in the Champions League, with 4 teams from England, 4 teams from Spain, 3 teams from Germany, 3 teams from Italy. I think it's going to be very tough to progress. 110 people watching. Please smash that like and obviously sub to the channel if you cannot, if you have not done so already. It's now 6 games in the group. It was 8 games, 2 after Christmas, mate. There we go. So 8 games all. Like I said, I haven't looked 100% into the format yet. I will do a video on it shortly. What else have we got here? We've got this upcoming season is huge for the club. That mob are now level on trophies with us. Our current board have sat back and watched this happen since Stevie G left. Shameful. It's like they said, isn't it, Colin? You've got to fix the roof while the sun is shining, and we did not fix the roof. There are other Coke products available, by the way. I agree with that one. It is a massive reason for us as a club. We cannot allow them to get ahead of us in the number of trophies won. I agree 100% with that comment. It was said the board taking interest in the loans, they're giving it out, so they don't want Rangers to become profitable. An interesting point there from Derek. Top 8 qualify for the last 16 teams going to 2-legged playoff, also reach the last 8. Sounds very complicated again, Stuart. What else have we got here? Defo, stop buying the merchandise. We've got to return for our investment in the club, says Blue Nose. I wish Stuart Gibson would get more involved. He's worth a fortune. Could buy Rangers outright. Is that the guy who owns Middlesbrough? I'm worried about there'll be a couple more second-rate sidings and some loans, and that will be the rebuild. That won't work, as we need more. I'm hoping all these links, John, are going to show us that it's not just going to be that. It's not just going to be that is the rebuild. I'm really hopeful. With Mexican guy Cruz or something, we should remove ASAP. Says Danny McD. Had the board back Stevie G, he'd still be with us and totting up a good few titles. I think you're right, Blue Horizon, on that one. What else have we got here? Douglas Parker's done all his garages up with our money. Probably has, buddy. Probably has. Probably has done all his garages up with our money, says William. I agree with you that one. Look, it's massive this summer. We know it's massive this summer, and we'll obviously try and keep all over it here on the channel. We'll try and bring you all the latest information, all the latest news on the rebuild, on the signings coming in and out of the club. Guys, that is pretty much it for tonight. I want to talk obviously about the 5 players going out, a bit of the Champions League, and we'll be back tomorrow night with another podcast, guys, another topics to discuss. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hopefully we can get the internet back and working properly. I think that's been fucking shocking tonight. I think it is Blue Nose. I think he's more likely to go back to Leeds or to go to another Premier League club. I can't see him coming to Rangers. I can't see that happening, buddy, not with the wages he'll want. Right, guys, thank you for watching. If you can do me 2 favors on the way out. Number 1, smash that like. And number 2, as always, please remember, we are...